Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates are training video on YouTube. That's why I started creating some videos in Hindi. And that's how YouTube videos started. And one fine day I realized divided based on our priority of work. So if I talk about the first quadrant, and here comes the importance of time management. Hello friends, before I start today my topic, I would like to talk about something which is personal to me, and it is important to clear at the outset why I create this video and how this journey started. I started creating video for the first time during first lockdown in the year 2020. And since everybody was under lockdown, we had two choices. First, to get bored, and second, to create something. And I chose the second one, to create a training video on YouTube so that I can utilize my boredom into something creative. And that's how YouTube videos started. And one fine day I realized that my subscribers are growing more than 1200. So this motivated me to create further video and post my well-wishers feedback that I should go for a Hindi video. That's why I started creating some videos in Hindi. After that, I realized that I should create videos in Hindi and English both, because my target audience starts from school to corporate. So the language chosen for this particular video is the English, to further cater to the wider audience from school to college, college to corporate, corporate to bigger institution and organization. So let's start the video. People say if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. And that's what people call mantra of success. But it starts with a proper planning. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, they are considered to be a superhuman because they have achieved something what we aspire to be. But the question is, are they really superhuman being? The answer is no. They are like us. So what is so different about them? That is what the objective of this video, and let's find it out together. As we know, everything starts with a planning, and planning starts with a planning your time. So today we are going to talk about how to manage and how to plan our time. So the topic of the discussion is time management. The reason why I chose this topic, because I was also struggling to manage my time. So I thought I should create a video for self-reminder and for my viewers reminder also. So let's break the ice and start the topic. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the 7 skill which is required to manage our time. But before I do that, I'm going to talk about the time management grid. That's super important for all of us to understand. What is a time management grid? Because anything what I talk in my video, it has got some frame of reference. So let's understand first of all the time management grid. As you can see in this grid, there are 4 segments: Q1, Q2, Q3 and Q4. And these quadrants have been divided based on our priority of work. So if I talk about the first quadrant talks about urgent and important. The second quadrant talks about not urgent but important. The third one talks about urgent but not important. And the fourth one, not urgent, not important. So let's understand each of the quadrant with example. So let's understand the first quadrant, urgent and important. Anything which is urgent and important, you cannot avoid it. So you have to manage it like a crisis. So let's understand the first quadrant. The first quadrant is important and urgent. Means what? You cannot avoid it because this is important as well as urgent. So anything which is important and urgent, you have to give quick remedy to that. You have to manage it with a quick fix solution. It's a firefighting mode. So you have to manage the crisis, you have to manage the problem, you have to manage the deadline. For example, you can say that you are missing on your deadline, so you have to achieve your target. So it's important and urgent. If you do not do this, you will have backlash from your department head, from your HOD. So this is something you have to pay attention because this is urgent as well as important. So call it firefighting mode. So let's talk about the second quadrant. The second quadrant talks about not urgent but important. Anything which is not urgent, you do not have to firefight, but this is important for your life. This is important for your career. So let's understand it with example. Anything which has got to do with a long-term planning, like a career planning, like a relationship building, like any preventive activity which can create a problem in a long term, recreational activity to rejuvenate yourself, to create some recreation or finding new opportunity for your life. These are important but not urgent. You do not have to firefight. You can prioritize. So this segment talks about focus. Up next, if I talk about the third quadrant, urgent but not important. When we say urgent but not important, we feel like this is urgent but this is not important. If we do not put our attention, does not matter. It is our creation that we feel like it's an urgent. Like a random email, phone calls, like social media. We go on checking one notification, we end up checking 20, 30, 40. It happens. It's the case with me. It's the case with many of us. But if we go as per the time management grid, these are the perfect time waster, because these appears to be important or urgent, but these are not important. So what we have to do, just avoid. When we say avoid, it means if it is disrupting your main course of action, avoid it, because this is a time waster. And the fourth quadrant, not urgent and not important. What does it mean? Anything which is a daily trivial matter. For example, anything which is beyond your goal statement, anything which creates aberration, anything which creates deviation. For example, making a random call to somebody without any purpose, sending any message without any objective, having unnecessary recreation. If I talk about recreation, it is good for our well-being. But any recreation which tells upon, which creates a sense of regret, that's a complete not urgent, not important segment, and you can avoid it. So if I talk about quadrant 4, how to deal with, you have to limit your activity. So if I talk about solution, the fourth segment to be dealt with, limitation. Not urgent, not important. Limit your activity towards it so that you should not deviate from your fixed goal. So having discussed time management grid and it's a framework, we have to understand what all skills we require to implement these time management grid effectively in our daily course of action. So let's discuss these essential 7 skills one by one so that we can implement it for the ultimate results. The first point, do the time audit. When I say time audit, we need to look into the activities what we have performed through the day. And if we understand that we have done a lot of time waster, out of any grid what we have discussed previously, if you find that we have not implemented it, you have to correct next day only and look into the grid first, second, third, fourth, and if you think that any grid which was not implemented properly, next day you have to do the course correction. Second, block out distraction. Based out of a time management grid what we have discussed, we have to find out where was the distraction in a day, and if you find out that this particular distraction is deviating me from my goal statement, you should block it. The third point, schedule yourself. When we say schedule, what does it mean? People talk about time management, but we need to understand you cannot manage your time unless you block the time. So you have to block your time in terms of certain small goal and long-term goal, in short-term goal and long-term goal. So the blocking of a time can be done in a day or a week or a month or a year ahead, not a problem. So that is what we call it short-term and long-term planning. So block your time, that's very important. And the blocking starts with the scheduling your time. You have to schedule it. Like in a day, what are the time frame you are going to follow for your day activity? And the fourth, avoid multitasking. If you are selling in 2 boats, you are bound to sink. So always follow this approach one at a time. People always talk about multitasking. It's overhyped. People should perceive us as a multitasker. But a multitasker also performs one activity at a time. So perform one task at a time for a better performance. And the fifth point, insist that others respect your time. It's a mutual journey. And it starts with you. First, you have to respect others' time. If you waste others' time, people will reciprocate. And that happens always. So if you respect others' time, they will respect yours. Because you know, charity begins at home. Sixth, keep your call to action in your mind. When we say call to action, it means we should not procrastinate. We should not delay. We should always take action towards our call. What is pending? Where there is a delay, there is no result. So always be ready for the call to action. For that, you have to be highly proactive. And finally, 7th, last but not the least, have a proper downtime. Means rest well. Because if you keep yourself busy, if any machine which is running 24/7 will not perform better tomorrow. So for future performance, we need to have a downtime. We need to have a proper rest. So having good downtime means I am preparing better for tomorrow performance. So to conclude this topic, I am going to recap the same statement what I used at the outset of this video. If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. So everything starts with a planning, and to plan, you have to manage your time well. And here comes the importance of time management. So before you go on using your skill, try to understand the time management grid and it's a framework. If you understand the framework well, you will be able to implement it and get the result. I hope it has gone well with all of you. Let's practice this time management framework together, because I am also along with you trying to implement and get its maximum benefit. So let's explore it together. Till then, take care and goodbye.